Hello and welcome to this segment of Meet a Columban. I'm your host, I'm Father Jim Mulroney, and my guest today is Father Pat Visanti, who's a Fijian Columban and is currently working in Pakistan. So we'd like to welcome you today, Pat. You've been in Pakistan now for 2 years, which is not a really long time, but not a really short time either. But I think you're close enough to your arrival in Pakistan to remember, what are some of the things that really surprised you when you arrived in the country? Because as a Fijian, we know that Pakistan is a radically different country from Fiji. You've also studied in the Philippines, in Manila, and we know that Manila is quite a different place, and the Philippines is quite a different place from both Fiji and Pakistan. So what were some of the things that really surprised you when you first arrived there?
Thank you. I think for me, the biggest surprise, even as I got off the plane, was the weather. I arrived on FMA in the middle of July, and it was the temperatures
FMA,
in the 40s.
During FMA, you were a student,
Yes.
right? It stands
Yes.
for
Yeah.
First Missionary Assignment.
Yeah.
And that happens in your student days before ordination.
That's right.
So you had a couple of years in Pakistan previously, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go on, yeah.
So the weather was the first biggest surprise I'd ever come across. I'd never expected or experienced heat in the 40 plus, and even up to 50, on certain days. So the weather was one of the biggest surprises for me. I wasn't sure how I will cope with the heat. And I'd never lived in a country where it's Muslim dominated.
Yes.
And it kind of, I wasn't feeling easy, but like it's a surprise that it wasn't as I expected to be. Later on in my few months after I've been used to the country, it become different for me. So I begin to enjoy, So I would say those are the two biggest surprises for me: the weather and the culture, the Muslim culture that I came into.
A little bit by little bit, you began to feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Can you name any things or any people that help you to feel comfortable or at home or more like yourself while you were in Pakistan?
I think the fact that I came in with my, the stereotype attitude of what Pakistan was like was told to you on the media and by friends, But as I journeyed along with my friends here that I begin to encounter, I find that most of them are just normal people, just like we are back at home. They are very hospitable, accommodative, and they love to meet people. So my perspective began to change. So it's the friends and also the Columban culture here, how they try to embrace us and how they try to make us feel welcome to the mission, helped in those changes. Yeah.
And during your years as a student there, you would have studied language, right?
Yes, I did 8 months of the language, yeah.
And how did you find that?
First of all, I wasn't a person who was gifted with a language, language ability. So I really struggled with the language. And even till today, I struggled. But I think one thing that got me going is that I kept telling myself that, if I keep trying every day, I'll get better. But language Urdu was never easy. It's not written phonetically or like alphabetically. And it's also like from, Hebrew from right to left the other way. So you got to learn to get used to the book. Our back is the front for them here, because it's read the other way, you flip it the other way. So it wasn't easy task for me, but I managed so far.
So far?
Yeah.
And you're improving all the time, I take it.
Hopefully.
Okay. Now, you talked about the weather when you first arrived. I notice you're wearing a jacket today, so I presume it's not 50 degrees. But Fiji is a tropical island. And while it has warm weather, it has humid weather. which is quite a different sensation from the dry weather that you've experienced in Pakistan. And a lot of the countryside in Pakistan is very much like Central Australia. It's barren and dirt and rocks, just the odd tree here and there, the heat of the desert. How have you done in adapting to living in a different climate? Did it affect your health in any way, or?
It didn't. My health, thank God, it didn't affect any at all. But it's just that, going from one to the other, you would feel it in the beginning. You really feel the changes of weather. But I would say, this is my 4th year now. 2 years on pastoral and 2 years back after ordination. So it's kind of okay now. You feel the heat, not too bad. And when it goes to winter, it's okay. They experience the 4 seasons here. And summer is very terrible, can go up to some places up to 50. And then for us over here, you can reach 47, 48. And then during winter, at the moment, we're at 10. So it goes from one to the other. One extreme.
You have quite a contrast, and maybe that's a bit of a challenge getting to love that and really enjoy it. Now, you've been there long enough to know quite a bit about Pakistan. And what is your present assignment? I presume you're still learning language and struggling with language. Are you living in a parish, or what are you doing right now?
Thank you. At the moment, I'm assigned to a parish in a place called Badin, St. Thomas the Apostle Parish. Father Tony Kavanagh is the parish priest here. So I am assigned here to the parish with Father Tony Kavanagh and 2 Filipino lay missionaries who arrived last year. So there's 4 of us here in the parish. We are in the tribal mission. This is our only Columban parish in the country. So we work with the tribal people. Our main focus here in Pakistan is on the tribal people, because the tribal people are kind of mostly neglected. So we felt that it was a need for us to be in the tribal mission to help out. So here we have a school. We have 3 schools. We run 3 schools. And we also have a TB clinic where health also is a problem with the tribal people. So they can come into our TB clinic for medical checks, and, can cost very low, 50 rupees, which is about, I don't know how many cents. And they can also get help. Sometimes they get medical for free when they cannot afford it. So that's basically what we have in the mission at the moment: the schools and the TB clinic, and also parish work running different villages. Yeah.
Now, when you mention tribal people, are these people who are indigenous to the area?
Yes, they are. They are like Pakri Kolis. Then you have Sindhi Beals, and these are the 2 main tribes that are in the area where we are working: Sindhi Beals and Pakri Kolis. But you have other tribes in other places, but we are not in those missions. Yeah.
Now, you seem to hint that these people are somewhere or another locked out of mainstream society, or alternatively find it extremely difficult to enter mainstream society. What are the blocks that are placed in their way?
I think education plays a big part. They're still very big. They're still into the farming traditional system. Some of them are nomads. They move from place to place. But I think education is not really kind of important for them. And like girls, mostly girls read, some of them wouldn't go for schooling. In our presence in the tribal mission, when we have schools in some of 2 villages at the moment, and in the city of Badin itself, we kind of encourage parents to send the children to school, and especially girls. It's like education is not a priority here. So for example, when harvesting season comes and the parents have to go for harvesting in another place, everybody will just up and go, never mind school. The whole family gone. They don't care, like whether they miss 6 weeks or 5 weeks of school. It's for them, it's nothing, you know.
Okay. And what do you do? How do you involve yourself in their lives? Like when you get up in the morning, what do you do?
At the moment, because I'm just into ministry, so I'm kind of trying to brush up on my Urdu. So I work mainly with the Punjabis. I go to the Punjabi ilakas, villages, sorry. Ilaka is the word for villages here. So I go to the Punjabi villages, which is not too many. And then I'm basically working with Punjabis, not with the tribal, because the tribal people, the language is totally different.
And what do you do with them? What do you?
Catechesis, visit
Yes.
with the catechists and the masses in the village. Yeah, and yeah.
Are there many Catholics among the people, the villages that you go to?
Basically, the places we go to are Christian places. Yeah, they
They're
kind of
like
live in colonies. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like a Catholic village or a
yes,
Christian village, yes.
yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do catechesis. I presume you talk to people, you get to know them, you get to understand their way of life. How do they earn their living? What are the jobs that they involve themselves in?
Most of them are daily wage. You know, they just go and find work during the day. Most of them would do daily work. Some of them have permanent job, like they work for the town council, you know, and their job is to like sweep the streets, keep the streets clean. So that's basically mostly what our Christians would get, you know, those kind of work. It's hard for them as Christians and not educated to get, you know, a good job, you know. So most of our Christians would be doing those kind of work, daily wage and farming. Yeah.
I think sweeping and street cleaning,
Mm,
uh, they're often the people that we refer to in Australia as untouchables,
mm,
or people who are really discriminated against quite severely. And the opportunities to gain other work or change their way of life are extremely limited.
mm.
Is that the way that the system operates where you are?
Yeah, it's kind of, and like for our Christians, like because education is not a major concern for them or important, you know. So if, you know, somebody in the family or the parents are cleaning on the street, you know, the the kids tend to go in the same way as well, you know, to follow, you know. And mostly here, the streets sweepers would be Christians and Hindus. You know, you really don't see any of the other, you know, on the street. It's a low kind of job.
Yeah. Now, you've mentioned education quite a few
Mm,
times, and you obviously see education as being really important.
mm,
And yet, there are many blocks, obviously, to encouraging people to value education or to
mm.
really commit themselves to learning or learning in an academic kind of way.
Mm.
Is there any type of methods that you use to try and encourage them or try to show them the opportunities that education can present?
Um, Not really sure, but like there are some tribal families who have done well for themselves,
Yes.
who have you know, seen what education can do and able to come out, you know. I think here trying to emphasize education to the families, it's a difficult task, you know. And because for here, like even themselves, they don't see any hope at all, you know. If for some of the Christians, even, I mean, I've spoken with a Christian lawyer who you know, who was sponsored by the Columbans before, and it's kind of surprised when you talk to him. He just said to you, "Father, no hope, no hope." So within themselves, they don't kind of see any hope, you know. So it's kind of difficult to convince people in terms of, you know, to come for to get their children educated. You know, it's really hard because at the end of the day, by 17, 18, they marry off their children. You know, it's like
Yes.
it's the culture here. So some of them, by the time they reach 16, like that would be the end of education for them, especially for the girls. They wouldn't send them anymore. And like, it's a breakthrough for the time being, before they don't send them at all. At least some of the girls get education up to the age of 16. And some even have gone further to college and all that. But it's kind of a breakthrough in the culture that some are able to bring them for education. But otherwise, it's difficult because of the culture. By 18, they've married, and that's the end of the education. They don't go back again to school.
Now, you quoted the lawyer as saying, there's no hope, there's no hope.
Yeah.
And yet the people cling to their Christianity.
Mm.
Is there some type of alternative hope that Christianity offers them that inspires them? Or
I think the church had played a very important role in the lives of these people here. They have good support from the church and the different missionary congregations here. I'd never seen such support in other countries where people kind of look to the church for almost everything they needed. And we're not able to provide everything they need, they can, but we do our best to give whatever we can with whatever aid that comes in from outside, and that we can get funding from outside. But I think the church had played a very important role here in helping the people in their faith, and also to keep afloat despite having no hope.
now, what aspirations do you have, Pat? Like, what area of ministry would you like to involve yourself in the future, or perhaps really concentrate on developing among the people?
I always feel here that education is very important. It's key. It's our only way to change people's mentality. So if we can get them to send their children to school, get them educated, then I would say we'll have hope for the future, because when you're able to change the mentality at the young age, there is possibility, So that's my hope, that I'm kind of partially involved at the moment with education, going around, but not totally involved. I'm still at the initial stages of my being here in the country, hoping to have many more years to come. But I'd love to focus on education, to help, bring about changes, because for me, that's our only hope, is to educate the young generation. So maybe not in my time, maybe in the time of those yet to come, hopefully that the fruits of education that will be put in today will bear fruit in, 50, 60, 70 years time.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. You look quite young there. You'll probably be around in 60 or 70 years' time.
Hopefully.
But we'd like to thank you for your time today. We've been talking to Father Pat Visanti, who's a Fijian Columban working in Pakistan. And thank you for your time, Pat. And best of luck with your ambitions and the ambitions you hold for the people that you work among. May God bless you.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Thank you.